I'm 18, my dad's 62 and my grand's 80, and in a few years I'm going to have a huge a debt that I will not be able to, is unpayable. It's an unpayable debt.
My name's Finn, and all I'm trying to get across is, all we're trying to do is look after yous. All we're trying to do is look after yous, keep you fed and keep you happy. But all the government is trying to do is shit on us, to be honest, and we can't keep up with it.
Yeah, they say it won't affect most farms, but it really will affect 90% of farms, and family farms will be shut down. It will just be massive corporations that will take over. So, it will really kill the industry.
My 5-year-old is desperate to farm, but in order for him to farm, it has to be passed down from my husband's grandma, then it has to go through my husband's parents, then it has to go through him,
wow, yeah.
And then it has to get to my son.
It's a lot of tax.
So by the time it's got all the way down,
Yeah.
what's my son going to be left with?
Yeah.
Probably not a lot.
What my feelings are that farming has been stabbed in the back by a government that are trying to make money and haven't thought through the consequences of what they've done. They say that they're wanting more money for public services, but ultimately if you do some things that are going to put the price of food up, it's going to put more pressure on those public services and more pressure on the pockets of people who can least afford it.
I'd repeal the inheritance tax, but it also goes way, 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 way deeper with farming. There's 20 years of being slammed with low prices. We're not making enough as it is. We are working for less than the minimum wage. We have to pay our staff more than we can pay ourselves.
Wow.
It's all, we're asset rich but cash poor.
Well, why do we not want to keep our British farmer? We've got British milk, it's our industry.
Right.
We haven't got many industries left in this country. What are we running it into the ground? Why? Why would we prefer to bring food in, cheap exports that haven't got the regulations and the welfare that we do? I mean, we look after our animals, we do everything to the book. We try and keep our animals at good welfare as best we can, and we're trying to look after the land and look after ourselves, and we help people in the community, in the villages that we live in. We're a big part of our village as well.
Right.
And why do we want to lose all that? What are they doing it for?
You were just saying that you are a vicar and you're involved in the land locally.
Yeah, so I look after 12 rural parishes, and I'm here to support the farming community and people who care about rural life, because I think rural life is good and it has so much in it to celebrate, and so much of rural life is very positive, and people are deeply invested in it. So this sort of thing matters not just to farmers but to a whole load of people who are invested in rural communities.
Yeah, and since it was announced, what has been the kind of feedback you've seen in the community?
So I'd say there's a lot of farmers that I know who are genuinely concerned about what happens next, because their financial planning is thrown into disarray. There's an awful lot of advice that has to be taken. I think there's a lot of anger as well, because I think it feels, quite apart from the particular policy, that it's another demonstration of the fact that this government doesn't understand or particularly care for rural life.
Yeah. And how does this affect yourself and the farmers around you?
So we've got a family farm just north of Milton Keynes, all arable. So I mean, to be honest, for me, the succession coming in, I can't. Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to be able to afford to pay the inheritance tax. For everyone here, I think it's a major factor and thing that will implicate on everyone's livelihoods and farming. I just don't think the government have any clue what they've imposed or the implications that it's actually going to have on the country. I mean, they talk about net zero and pushing for being carbon friendly, but it's not realistic at all. It's total. I mean, the easiest way to put it is rubbish. It's all rubbish. The government have no touch on UK farming, and just in general,
Okay, my name's Tom. I farm in Buckinghamshire. Yep. I'm here today to meet with my MP and as many other MPs as I can find, and here to discuss the changes that are required to the inheritance tax, which has been levied upon farmers in the guise of the abolition of agricultural property relief. We were talking just now about a conflict in the data which the Treasury have used in order to justify this tax, and a conflict which is not just between the Treasury and farmers, but between the Treasury and DEFRA. The Treasury believe that significantly fewer farmers will be affected by this, whereas DEFRA are more realistic in their view. They think that I think it's around 70 to 75% of people will be affected.
Wow.
And this is what we're here to do, is to engage with MPs and to help them understand the magnitude of change that they are now levelling upon the agricultural sector, because it will affect a significant number of people and it will decimate the family farm.
So there we had some conversations with farmers at the London protest, all coming out to show their support against the government's recent tax change. And before we go, just to put the numbers into perspective, the government's own projections for this tax estimate it'll eventually raise £520 million per year. To put that into perspective, the NHS costs alone are £152 billion per year. So this would pay for approximately 1.5 days. And 520 million is also a tiny fraction of the 11.6 billion the UK has allocated to foreign climate aid, or the 12.8 billion pounds it has committed to Ukraine, or the £3+ billion it spends housing illegal migrants every year. MP Rupert Lowe wisely queried the UK's spending priorities in the House of Commons, and you'll see now how the government responded.
Rupert Lowe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the Home Office annual report, it is confirmed that for 2022-3, £3 billion was spent on hotel costs for illegal migrants, averaging £8 million a day. The cruel inheritance tax assault on British family farms and businesses is estimated to eventually raise £520 million per year. Does this Labour government need to urgently rethink its spending priorities?
No, Mr. Speaker, we've just had a budget that we're in the middle of debating and voting on, and I expect that that will be the way we go forwards.
Perhaps unsurprisingly, while the protest was taking place, Keir Starmer was in Brazil at a G20 conference. And to round this video out, I will leave the last words to one of the more surprising faces these days of British farming.
I want Newsnight to see that. She was trotting out. Nobody's affected. Rachel Reeves says so. Since when was the BBC the mouthpiece of this infernal government? I've got to get the brakes on. The trouble is I'm off my tits on codeine and paracetamol up here. I don't know what I'm saying. But I do want to finish, if I may, with a message to the government. I do. Not a shouty one, it's this. For the sake of everybody here, and for all the farmers who are stuck at home today, paralysed by a fog of despair over what's been foisted upon them, I beg of the government to be big, to accept that this was rushed through, it wasn't thought out, and it's a mistake. That's the big thing to do, admit it, and back down. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.